We're back. You would think the first American to meet North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un would be Secretary of State John Kerry or even President Obama. But no, former basketball star Dennis Rodman beat them to the punch. Rodman, known as the Worm, wiggled his way back into the spotlight after pictures surfaced of him hanging with the tyrant while visiting Pyongyang to film a basketball documentary. Rodman calls Kim, quote, an awesome guy and a friend. Even more bizarre was that the Hall of Famer revealed to ABC's George Stephanopoulos that Kim gave him a message for President Obama. Listen.
Because I sat with him for 2 days, and the one thing he asked me to give Obama something to say and do one thing. He wants Obama to do one thing, call him.
He wants a call from President Obama?
That's right. He told me that. He said, if you can, Dennis, I don't want to do war. He loves basketball. And I said the same thing I said. Obama loves basketball. Let's start there.
I don't expect the Obama administration to use Rodman's basketball diplomacy strategy anytime soon, but let's talk about it. With me now, Chris Cillizza is with the Washington Post and an MSNBC political analyst. Stephen A. Smith is a radio host and ESPN commentator. Chris, do you think that he's been briefed by the CIA or that he will? And if not, should he?
Well, number one, the answer is, had he been briefed, I can feel pretty confident in saying no. Will he be debriefed? I mean, who knows? It's Dennis Rodman. As someone who's been a fan of basketball for a long time, he is sort of in the most unpredictable of unpredictable folks operating on the national stage. In fact, he hadn't been operating on that stage, frankly, until very recently. I mean, this story, Michael, if a week ago I told you that Dennis Rodman would go to North Korea and be the basketball diplomat and be on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, there's no chance you would believe me. Now, all that said, I'd love to have that Cody hat on.
Stephen A. Meadowlark Lemon said to be headed for Hugo Chavez at any time, some point soon. What's the downside? We love to deride this. We love to show the video of it and so forth. But Stephen A., what is the real downside, if there is one, to all of this?
Well, there's no real downside outside of the sadness that it gets attached to Dennis Rodman, because you realize how pathetic he can be. The reality of the situation is he came over incredibly misinformed, clearly insensitive to the plight of a lot of North Koreans over there in prison. Some of the heinous things we've heard. We're talking about the State Department classifying North Korea as arguably the biggest violators of human rights. And here you are. You have a former basketball player associated with the National Basketball Association, a Hall of Famer inducted in 2011, that's sitting on national television across from George Stephanopoulos and calling this individual his friend, clearly ignorant to the history of what has taken place. The fact that diplomatic relations obviously is virtually non-existent between North Korea and the United States of America. All of those things factor into the equation to point to a flagrant and alarming level of ignorance that none of us can apologize for or summarily dismiss, other than to say it's Rodman. He's a bit different. Clearly, he's not in tune with what's going on in this world, and in terms of that, and we understand it, and we've got to take it for what it is. But I don't think the White House, nor anybody in the State Department, nor anybody in the United States government would feel the need to brief Dennis Rodman on anything pertaining to this individual. Chris, I don't think it's necessary.
Chris, George Stephanopoulos continued to press Rodman about what Stephen A. was just talking about, the human rights violations. Sure. The worm stuck by his new friend. Here's what he had to say.
He's a great guy. He's just a great guy. If you sit down and talk to him, you know, perception is perceiving how things
work. A great guy who puts 200,000 people in prison camps?
Well, you know, and guess what? It's amazing how we do the same thing here.
We have prison camps here in the United States? We don't have prison camps.
Guess what? This is all politics, right?
But it sounds like you're apologizing for him.
No, I'm not apologizing for him. I think the fact that, you know, he's a good guy to me. Guess what? He's my friend.
Chris, he's the only American who's met with this guy. I think you got to bring him in and find out what you can learn.
Look, I actually think Stephen A. makes a really good point, which is it's easy, and I've done it on my blog and other places, to say this is sort of an incredible story and I can't believe this happened. But what's clear here is that Dennis Rodman is drastically out of his depth when it comes to foreign policy and what North Korea has or hasn't done. The justification of that, well, this is politics. I mean, there's a very big difference between what North Korea is doing to its citizenry and politics. So, you know, look, I guess Dennis Rodman has a right to have whatever friends he wants, but I do think broadly you have to realize if you're a public figure, you go and do things like this, they have an impact. The White House has come out and said, this is not the sort of thing we want to be doing.
He looks earnest. I feel sorry for Dennis Rodman. Thank you, Stephen A. Smith.
I'm not questioning whether he's earnest, but that doesn't mean that the impact of his actions don't have negative
I wish I had more
consequences.
time. Thank you, Chris Cillizza, and thank you, Stephen A.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this. You're watching Hardball, the place for politics.